Thank you. Hello, my name is Cienna Madrid. Perhaps you're familiar with my work as a successful journalist for Seattle's only newspaper, The Stranger. But most people in my home state of Idaho know me as the only legitimate daughter of your newest love interest, Katie Madrid. If her picture wasn't convincing enough, 3 successful marriages prove that my mother is incredibly earthily desirable. And with nearly 30 years real-life experience, I'm considered the leading expert on my mom. Now, for the first time ever, I'm going to be giving you the insider information you need to seduce her. Let's start with the basics. My mother's a 50-year-old newly single female with a good government job, a working sheep farm tucked into a southern Idaho town you've never heard of, and the pert breasts of a 35-year-old, untouched by surgery. She has one nasty case of menopause, and she is funny and sometimes nice. She doesn't cook. Now then, my mother gravitates towards men who enjoy extreme sports. Her most recent ex-husband is a retired smoke jumper, which means that he spent a lifetime jumping out of planes into forest fires and putting them out. Her middle ex-husband is Mexican, and trust me if you've never been, simply being a Mexican man in rural Idaho is considered an extreme sport. Her first ex-husband is a career alcoholic, owns 5 motorcycles, and has just as many DUIs. Between those husbands were long-term relationships with men named things like Vern the Butcher, Dan the marijuana trafficker, and slick-haired Chris, who, despite these monikers, were all real estate agents. I know what you're thinking. Cienna, how can I possibly compete with alcoholics and Mexicans and real estate agents for your mother's fleeting affections? I'm here to reassure you it's not very hard. The first thing you need to do is identify your assets. What are the unique attributes you bring to the table that will squeeze a few precious ounces of juice from my mother's menopausal intimates? I'm not talking money. Anyone can earn or print their own money. Think creatively. What do you bring to the table that other men can't? Are you the type of man who knows his own blood and tissue types and proactively searches for organ donors for himself and his loved ones as a kind of hobby? Maybe even has a freezer full of spare parts to ensure that he lives as long as possible? How many dogs do you have? How many antique meat cleavers do you own? If you're silently thinking to yourself, too many to either of those questions, your answer is wrong. Once you've identified your assets, think about how you can subtly relay them to my mom without sounding conceited or challenging her natural dominance. For instance, this enterprising entrepreneur used a crocodile head from his collection of crocodile heads to fashion a sexy crotchodile, which he wore to a barnyard bris to impress my mother. Even the rabbi agreed that it was a huge hit. But that type of boldness doesn't work for all situations. If, for example, your greatest asset is retaining all of your original adult teeth, don't brag about it. Let her discover this asset for herself with her own teeth. You'll both be happier for it. So once you've identified your assets, it's time to approach my mother. Like most women, she prefers to be approached slowly from the side with minimal eye contact. Do not approach her from behind or head-on or when she's eating, as she will interpret all of these moves as aggressive. When you first approach my mother, gradually and from the side, it's best to come with a small gift, like a cold beer or a handful of dried beans. Introduce yourself. Make it clear as quickly as possible that you like dogs. Then open the conversation with something flattering and agreeable, such as, I understand that you eschew water for whiskey because you claim that water makes your liver sleepy. I, too, disavow medical science for arbitrary reasons. Take note, as with all first dates, stay away from engaging in political talk, like name-dropping Barack Hussein Obama or comparing the relative laziness of different minority groups. Despite living in an area so proudly red that it resembles a war zone, my mother is a liberal, and she will liberally chew your ass out for that kind of racist bullshit. So let's assume you two talk for hours about any number of her favorite subjects: dogs, whiskey, divorce, or how to make a refreshing cocktail out of rubbing alcohol and dentine ice gum. If the date goes well, she will allow you to name one of her chickens. If the date goes poorly, she will name one of her roosters after you, decapitate it, and serve coq au vin to her lesbian farming friends. And if the date goes poorly, you'll know it, because the singular whisker emerging from the tip of her chin will begin to twitch back and forth like a dowsing rod in a deliberate fuck no movement. If that happens, do not show your fear. Simply thank my mother for her time, remove any spare meat from your pockets, and back away slowly while maintaining eye contact with her forehead. Do not turn your back on her. You may have to continue this way for a half mile or more, depending on her mood and your level of offense. I know what you're thinking. Sure, Cienna. Dating your mom sounds like it would be horrifically titillating, like catching a sexy tropical disease on the tip of my penis. But why should I dare to dream if there's only a 50% chance she'll accept my eventual marriage offer, and if she does, it's written in her wedding vows that she'll leave me in 5 to 7 years, or whenever she starts looking at real estate again? The simple answer is this isn't about you. It's mainly about me. You see, my mother's last divorce was finalized in January, and the longer she remains single, the louder her demands for grandbabies become. Just this week, she threatened to make the 8-hour drive to Seattle in the dead of night with a cooler full of semen and a turkey baster, and see to the task herself. I'm a very sound sleeper. And without your intervention, I may soon have to break the news to my boyfriend that I've been impregnated by my mother. As you can see, this issue is much bigger than you or me. Much like the fight to end global warming, seducing my mom is a community effort, and we all need to do our part. So please, man up and get to it. Thank you.